Welcome to Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, the show that cracks you up before it even starts.
Just me.
Just AJ. Hi, I'm your co-host, Melanie Gibson.
I just said my
Oh my god, you're supposed to introduce yourself with these shows. So, hello once again.
I'm your overlord. There you go.
Valhalla, we are coming. So, I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt for those of you who are just listening to the podcast because it's warm in Texas in November, and also I'm showing off my big, I can't do this backwards on video, my big floral half sleeve that I got tattooed. I'm very proud of it. I'll put a picture on our Instagram, Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast. It is an homage to my precious little niece who is way too young to be listening to the awful things we say on this podcast.
I mean, technically she's exactly young enough because she won't remember it.
She won't remember until she starts spouting a bunch of curse words later and just like, where'd you learn that, Aunt Melanie? So anyway, I have a big beautiful tattoo that I got by Crashly Ink, so go and check out her work. AJ will be getting a tattoo from her soon, so we'll be posting pictures of that on our Instagram as well. So if you're watching the video, here's my ink. I love it. Anyway, so we're doing something a little different this month. We realized we did a lot of complaining in October. It was a lot of hate watching and a lot of bitching, which we like to do, but that can get old after a while. So in honor of Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday because you eat, we're going to have an attitude of gratitude for November and talk about things that we really love. AJ's rolling his eyes and shaking his head.
I felt very corporate.
I have a corporate job.
I know, I'm just saying.
Oh, don't. You haven't even gotten me started. I'll say pivot.
We also don't have,
Don't test me.
We also don't really have, Thanksgiving movies to go to, so this is a good option.
No, there really aren't any Thanksgiving movies, so we just decided to talk about things that we enjoy and that we want to share with all of you, our listeners, and our watchers. So, AJ, what are we talking about for this episode?
Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book. So we're talking about 4 live-action adaptations of The Jungle Book. There are tons of adaptations.
And the animated one.
And the animated one. I keep forgetting. So 5 Jungle Book adaptations. There are many more out there. We just discovered on YouTube that there was a 1989 Japanese movie called Mowgli's Adventures. And there was, in the 1970s, a 5-part series released by the Soviet Union about Mowgli's adventures.
That would be very interesting.
It would be very interesting. Cartoons from the Soviet Union are bleak. So, anyway.
Ooh, that might be perfect. Because Jungle Book is kind of bleak.
I mean, kind of. Not the dystopian nightmare we're living right now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's... do we want to do a rundown of what we're talking about first, or just get into it?
Well, I think it's important to know why we picked the Jungle Book.
Okay, why did we pick the Jungle Book?
Because the story is awesome.
Yeah,
every version is good in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually hard to make a bad version of the Jungle Book.
It really is, because there are things we like and don't like about each one of these movies, but overall, we like them, and I'm sure some of the animated ones are pretty cheesy.
Yeah, well, I guess that could technically be a bad movie if it's like that. Like the Japanese one looked sort of
like so good it's bad.
It's a little too Ghibli, but without the budget.
Yeah, it was like a cutesy Saturday morning cartoon that I feel like a parent would put on for their kid, listening in the background. In the meantime, they're like, God, that's annoying.
Mowgli's too happy, and he's under threat of death, so I want him to not be happy.
Yeah, so well, there's some bleakness in some of them. So let's just talk through in chronological order the movies that we're going to be just talking through on today's episode.
So we have 1942 Jungle Book, which is on HBO Max. Go watch it. It'll probably be on there forever because it's a old ass movie.
Or the devices are listening and they're going to take it off.
Or that. Let's see. Sabu is the person playing Mowgli, which apparently we have info on Sabu.
Yeah, are we just talking about this movie now, or are we going to go through the list?
We're just going to stop on this one for a little bit.
Okay, let's stop on this one. So we discovered this by accident. We were just looking up old movies on HBO Max, and it shows up as The Jungle Book from 1942. And the first one I always knew of was the Disney animated one from 1967. So we were like, what?
Yeah, I assumed it was going to be awful, and it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was good. So it stars a man he was born Salar Sabu, so forgive me, I'm maybe mispronouncing his name, but he was an Indian-born actor. He was born on January 27th, 1924 in British India, back when India was occupied by our friends, the British. Such a wonderful time. So he was the son of an elephant rider, and he was discovered at age 13 by a documentary filmmaker who put him in a British documentary about riding elephants. Okay. And he was a very charismatic guy, very handsome, and great smile, and just such a personality. So it was really fun to watch him on film. He became a U.S. citizen in 1944, so 2 years after he did this movie, which was filmed in California. He joined the United States Air Force and was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for some of his missions in the Pacific during World War II. So last thing about him, sadly, he died of a heart attack a month before his 40th birthday. So that is the interesting but way too short life of Sabu, the very charming star of The Jungle Book from 1942.
It's kind of ironic. There's at least one, if not more, stories of a son of an elephant tamer in Rudyard Kipling's books.
Rudyard Kipling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of perfect. All
yeah,
right.
So this movie was based on a lot of stories by Rudyard Kipling. So we mostly know the story of Mowgli as a young boy, but tell us more about this one.
This one and another one we'll talk about in a little bit was based off of the sequel to The Jungle Book, which I think is just the second Jungle Book or
Mowgli's
like
Adventures or something.
And so it's not the Shere Khan story so much as the hunters searching for the Forbidden City story, which, like I said, they also did in the 93 version.
Yeah, the interaction with the villagers and...
Yeah, so basically it seems like they picked this direction with it. Speaking of directors, it was Zoltan Korda, awesome name, who directed this, and I think they picked to follow the sequel more because it was the 40s, like they couldn't do a whole lot with the animals.
That's what we were figuring. So this one, the aesthetic is interesting because they do show animals, but it felt very much like a Disney educational film about children. Like, here we see the mighty tiger.
It was super geographical.
Yeah, it's like stock footage of a bear and wolves and deer. And they do have a big mechanical crocodile that roars like a Tyrannosaurus.
But, like, its mouth is just straight open
yeah, it
and
just
closed.
Opens and closes like a book. Yeah, so let's just talk about the elephant in the room, so to speak, the problematic thing with this movie, because we need to put it out there. Oh my god.
Okay.
So Sabu is an Indian actor picked for Mowgli, an Indian character. Great.
I think the woman that played his mother was actually in it. There are a couple of Indians in here, but there was a lot of white people.
It's a lot of white people in
in
brown makeup.
Which sucks because I love the storyteller.
It is like the storyteller character who kind of frames the whole tale at the beginning is really great, but fuck, he's a white person.
Yeah,
you guys.
Like, he acts his ass off and he's like doing everything with his face and he's really interesting, but yeah, he's just a cracker.
He's a white guy with brown makeup, so I'm just like...
And there's the Tennessee dude that's...
Yeah, so we're all probably
Ali.
a little too woke to watch this movie, but watch it for Sabu. And the story itself is good. But yeah, okay, and the actors didn't even try, which is probably a good thing. That probably would have been even more offensive if they tried to imitate an Indian accent.
Yeah, they didn't bother with the accent,
So,
luckily.
but it was funny, though, because there's, like, a guy in a turban and a tunic and stuff, and he's like, we'll have marble houses, and I can have my barbershop, and we can have our farm over there.
It was like Turbir or something. It was some weird, like... Not weird, but it was an Indian... or Muslim name.
They mixed Hindi and Muslim names, so I'm not sure if they did their homework on, like, is this primarily Muslim village, or is this what...
But,
so
that happened, but
so,
it's still cool. It's still good.
Yeah, we're not trying to be, like, white apologists for this movie.
Yeah.
That is problematic, it is wrong, it shouldn't have happened, it's offensive. And...
So...
It's a pretty good story, and Sabu is awesome. He's so adorable. He was 18 when he filmed it, and... he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Love him.
Okay, so I think that's good enough.
But we do have to talk about two of the animals. So in this one, the animals don't talk, so it's more kind of a realistic thing of just, the animals are just there. They don't speak like humans, except the snakes.
The snakes.
And so there's Ka. We know Ka, who's hanging out in the river. Is like, hey, Mowgli, you need a ride? And he's like, yeah, thanks. But then my favorite character in this movie, he falls into a pit of treasure, and it's the Lost City. I can't remember the name of it, but it comes up in other movies, and it's filled with jewels and gold and treasures. And this toy snake on a string pops up, like it's like a cobra, and it's like, hey.
It's super prissy.
It's like, what do you... It sounds like Lumpy Space Princess from Adventure Time.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing down here?
This is my big money.
Do I look hot with all these jewels? And so the snake's a bad bitch, though. She does not like people in her treasure pit. She's like, I'm totally gonna bite you.
Yeah, it was so weird.
So yeah, watch it for the talking snakes.
It has a lot of charm, though.
It really does.
I'm surprised they bothered to mess with the whole snakes. Well, the snakes can talk. Like, what? Like, well, they don't. Their mouths don't move, so.
No, but the rest of them don't. But watch it for the snake.
Like, okay, there are two of these movies that basically do the same thing because they are taking things from the second book because it was in a time when effects were not great.
Yeah, that's what we figured, is that they couldn't do they couldn't do animatronics, they couldn't do CGI, so they just did more interaction.
This one better.
Yeah, they did interaction with the villagers.
But so they get around that. They do the stock footage. They have certain things where you see animals being animals with Sabu like in the tree, so it looks pretty good. Like, it's okay, fine. He's talking to an animal that's actually acting like an animal. Mm-hmm. And then we get the fight with Shere Khan in the water. I won't spoil it, but watch the movie because it's hilarious.
Yeah,
its
effects aren't great.
The effects are hilarious.
Yeah, it has a comical effect, which I don't think it was going for. Or maybe it was.
Oh, and his tooth.
His tooth.
He's the only one that had a tooth.
He's so adorable. He gets a dagger. Somebody gives him a dagger in the village, and he said, "It's my tooth." And he just calls it his tooth. It is so cute. And he calls it his tooth the whole time. Which, of course, he would call it a tooth. He doesn't know what a knife is.
I wish someone had called it a fang, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's so cute. It was now you've read the original book. Did he say that?
No, like I said, this one's based off of the second book, and I've never read the second book. I've listened to the first book a couple times.
I have not read any of the books.
Speaking of the first book, we might as well move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
To 67.
So watch it, yes, just knowing that it's offensive.
Yeah, the white people.
But watch it for Sabu and for that snake in the treasure pit.
Yes. It's probably like my third favorite out of the groups.
Yeah, we'll do a ranking later. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one.
So 67, the one that I guess pretty much everyone knows. Like, it's the Jungle Book of all Jungle Books. It's other than, when they remade it, which we'll get to that. Oh, you've seen it. Like, it's awesome.
I don't know if I ever saw it as a kid, though. I saw clips of it.
If you have kids and you have, like, vague memories of it, but you didn't... Go back and watch it, because it's super chill, and introduce your kids to it.
Yeah, and
so calm.
The freaking soundtrack is so chill. I listened to it one time before I was going to go to sleep, because it's just... so freaking chill. That was at the time where there was an orchestral score at the beginning of movies, but this one isn't super dramatic or over the top. It's just it kind of has a little clarinet that oodles around, and you hear it throughout the rest of the movie, and so it makes you think of a quiet waterfall, very peaceful. And it's just the whole movie is pretty chill, even with Shere Khan, even with some of the peril that happens.
Calm. And it's actually on our summer movie list, which is what we watch whenever we're just...
Yeah, that's part of our summer chill series, which we'll do a show on that closer to the summer.
And every single character... Okay, granted, the movies that have more of the humans are good, but the characters you really like are the animals, and this is the one that has probably the best total. Like, everybody is awesome in it. Even the vultures, who I think were made up for the movie, I don't think those are characters.
Yeah, they were based on the Beatles.
Yeah, so
which were huge at the time.
Every single character is awesome. Baloo is awesome. Bagheera is awesome. prissy ass Bagheera.
I love Bagheera and Baloo are so funny together. They have such good chemistry. And Shere Khan is so... he should have...
Diabolical.
We wish he'd been voiced by Christopher Plummer, who is just so elegant. But George Sanders, who does his voice, is so deep and elegant and rich. And also, like, you feel like he's toying with you. Like, as long as you keep him amused, he may not maul you just this second.
Yeah, he's having fun. Even when he's bored, he's like, I'm gonna... And he knows he can do whatever he wants, so he's...
Yeah, and this Shere Khan is kind of prissy, but it makes him even more fun.
It's like if Prince John was a badass.
Shere Khan, I'd like a word with you, if you don't mind.
Shere Khan? What a surprise.
Yes, isn't it? I just dropped by. Forgive me if I've interrupted. I thought perhaps you were entertaining someone up there in your coils.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Phil Harris, who did the voice of Baloo, was Little John in the animated Robin Hood, which it's basically the same character. It's just a big chill-ass bear who just smokes bud and eats and wants to hang out.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't change any of the voice actors.
No, they're all incredible. And Sterling Holloway as Kaa, who was Pooh and the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah. And he's done strangely a lot of different types of roles, even though he sounds like that same sort of...
Yeah, and the stork in Dumbo.
Calm, chill.
Just chill.
Silly dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was Christopher Plummer. Like, when I was younger, I didn't look it up. It was George Sanders. I just thought it was Christopher Plummer.
Okay.
Now, in the remake, they should have got Christopher Plummer.
That was a lost opportunity.
So.
Yeah, that Christopher Plummer had never voiced Shere Khan, which there have been plenty of remakes. You had the opportunity. You lost it. So, too bad.
Okay, this may be the only version where... No, it's not the only version. I was about to say this may be the only version where Shere Khan doesn't die in it, but that's not accurate at all. It's one of the two where he doesn't die. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know that one. Go watch it. Disney Plus. Bleh. So
yeah, it's always good.
Also on Disney Plus is the '93, which we just watched because I was vaguely aware of it from when I was a kid, and I made Melanie watch it to like round out the thing because I was just curious if it stacked up.
Wait, which one was from 93? Was that the one we just watched?
Yeah,
okay,
the live action one.
But that wasn't Disney. We had to rent that. It was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, it's not on Disney Plus.
It's not on Disney Plus,
but it is a Disney
and this
film.
one is called Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book from 1993, and you've got some information on that.
Let's see who played what and where and how. Oh yeah, Jason Scott Lee. We'll get to that. Is Mowgli, and Stephen Sommers was the director of that one. I don't think he had much of a career.
It was fine.
Oh, I did not mention that Wolfgang Reitherman directed the 67, which that is an awesome name also. Anyway, but yeah. So Jason Scott Lee is Asian.
We thought at first it was Brandon Lee when we saw the promo for it. He's no relation to Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee. So, he's also not Indian.
Yeah.
Could you find an Indian actor?
Like...
Time has passed since the 1942 version. We had an Indian guy back then. Can you not have an Indian guy this time?
Even if... Okay, so his mom is dead in the story. So even if we were to assume that his mother was white, an Indian and a white lady wouldn't have a Chinese baby.
Or are we the assholes and we didn't do our research on Jason Scott Lee and it turns out he's Indian by descent or something?
He's Chinese.
Okay.
He might be mixed, but I'm fairly certain he's just straight up.
So, yeah, and this one... Yeah, talk about this
one. You can tell this doesn't make sense. This is a nitpick, but his dad has a full-on nice beard, and Jason Scott Lee is just clean face the entire movie, even though he lived in the woods. Jeans. Anyway, but okay, so yeah, I made Melanie watch it, and it's on the bottom of the list for me, but it still is.
It grew on me in this one, whereas the 1942 one he interacted with the Indian villagers a lot. With this one, the humans were the white British colonialists who were there, and it was, that's problematic in and of itself. That was just showing what was happening. So sucks that happened. But anyway, the main characters in that are Sam Neill, who's an explorer or whatever. I don't know. They're cutting down the forest.
I don't know why he's British.
And his daughter is the woman who played Cersei.
Well, yeah, that was weird.
I don't remember her name. But sorry, she's a good actress, but I don't remember her name. And then also John Cleese as a character. And I was thinking earlier, like, if you're going to have white imperialists, colonialists, John Cleese is a good one to have on hand.
You need those big teeth.
Yeah, you need to have a little bit of laughter in your imperialism.
So, okay, this one, yeah, they focus on the humans more. He's only taken when he's, like, 3 or 4 or 5.
He's old enough to
he's
walk
like 5.
and speak. Oh, and Carrie Elwes is the villain.
He's pretty good.
He's perfect as the British asshole.
Yeah, he's just a British asshole. He's good at doing that.
Yeah.
But so okay, that part's a little weird. He's 5. He's old enough to know that he had a dad, and like he was taught the words of the names of the animals, Bagheera and Baloo and all that shit. So that's a little weird. But if you just accept it, okay, it's been like 12 years, so he's an adult at this point.
But
and
the Wrath of Khan, so to speak, is a little bit different in this movie. And I kind of, I like, at first it was kind of boring, but I'm like, I kind of appreciate what they did with that, like why Shere Khan is pissed off.
Yeah, Shere Khan was more like a, I don't know how to put it, like, he, God, what's the word? When you, not establish something, but you give it credence.
I can't think
as
of
an there's gonna be a lot of blank space in this video.
Radio silence in here. I'm not gonna edit it out.
What?
This
Oh
is real.
well, I have the video. I'll probably edit it. But God, he's not an obstacle to beat. Like in a fight, he is. Shere Khan at some point kind of like judges him, and
judges Mowgli.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. Like he has judged him as a part of the jungle.
Yeah, okay, because
so
at the beginning, yeah, Shere Khan is killing people, but it's more like
you stepped in my house.
Yeah,
bro.
and it's more like in the other movies, Shere Khan breaks the laws of the jungle by killing humans, or he kills their cattle, things like that. But in this one, white people are in the forest chopping down trees and killing animals for sport, and Shere Khan's like, not on my fucking turf, I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah,
so
some of the people were
people.
even like, well, I mean, if we walked into your house, wouldn't you do something?
Yeah, some of the there's one guy at the beginning, one of their Indian guys, just like, well, that was Shere Khan. He's not happy. I mean, and we're all kind of like, yeah, kind of. It makes sense. So don't fuck around in the forest. You'll find out.
Yeah. So this one follows the same story as the 42 version.
Very similar. Shere Khan doesn't really have it out for Mowgli. He's just...
There's a little bit of difference with the whole. It's white people, not the Indians who were, well, not the other white people. They're dressed up like Indians. It's just straight up white people.
Just straight up white people.
Who were just shooting in the streets just immediately as soon as they see him.
You know, like white people do.
Because they're chasing the Chinese guy in the middle of India. Whatever. And there's the stupid, like, Disney subplot with him being all over this girl that, you know, is Sam Neill's daughter.
They knew each other when they were very little, and she gave him a bracelet.
Like, okay, that's cool. That's a easy, quick fix for them to, like, discover who he is. Mm-hmm. And then we can get on with the, him integrating. Oh, okay, when we were watching this, I did realize one thing that was, good. Even if this movie isn't great. Like, we still like it okay. But a lot of the teachings and things, Tarzan definitely pulled from this movie.
Because they bring him in and John Cleese as a doctor, and he kind of convinces, because at first they put him in a little prison cell, and he's like, no, let's teach him how to be a gentleman, basically. So they teach him English, and they teach him about life and stuff,
some of the
and they teach him words and
funny things, and there's the messing with the I can't think of words. The projector. The whole projector scene from Tarzan looks exactly like this, and this came out first. And then Mowgli copying everyone's like physical, like not appearance, but
habits, movements, and things like that. Yeah.
So all of that was very. Carrie Elwes is basically Clayton if he wasn't like murderous. Oh, and that's the same too. Instead of gorillas, it's money.
Yeah, so they try to find the treasure too, and
It's all that, and you get to, watch their misfortune the same way as you do in the...
there is one part that's pretty messed up where one guy makes the mistake of fucking with Mowgli in the old ancient temple, and he meets his doom in a really awful, drawn-out way.
Think the Mummy. It's
like
a
you know
mummy
how there are drawn-out
moment.
awful deaths in there? There's a drawn-out awful death in this one. So, overall, it's not bad. It kind of grew on me the more I think about it. Would I want to rent it again? No, probably not. But if it's on,
it had some interesting ideas.
Is it worth watching if you really like The Jungle Book? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because you get a different Mowgli story.
If you want to complete the set of all the Jungle... Like us, because we're weirdos. Then yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've been on a Jungle Book kick. Okay.
Okay, so now we get back around to 2016, which is the remake of the 67.
This is Disney live action. This
is
is when Disney got on their big live action kick. Like, we want to make more money by redoing our movies.
Action. It's the CGI one.
Yeah.
It's not really live action. But anyway.
Okay, so what... That was directed by Jon Favreau, right?
Jon Favreau and Neil...
Sethi? Neil Sethi was Mowgli, and he was pretty good.
Yeah, he did fine.
He did a good job.
You're thinking this is a kid, and he has to do an entire movie with nothing. He's in a green screen room the entire time.
Yeah, and he's probably 12 or 13, or, not too old, not too young, but he does a good job.
Yeah, so it's okay. Everyone hates, maybe not hates all of them, but everyone has hate for the live action movies.
Because they suck. Most of them.
Suck. But this one's okay.
This one's okay. So let's talk about some of the animals, because in 1942, except for the snake, and the 1993 with Jason Scott Lee, the animals are just animals. They don't talk. They just act like animals.
Although, I will say the animals are done better. This sounds really dumb, but they are done better in the 42 version for me.
Really?
Because it's more of literally just watching natural animals do their thing. And then they kind of work around it to make it part of the movie, instead of these are obviously young trained animals in the 93 one.
Yes, in the 93 one you're like, it's grown blue, but it's
that bear is awful small.
And look, we've watched Tiger King. We know what grown tigers look like. That was not Shere Khan, who attacked the white people at the end, was not big ass Shere Khan. It was teenager
And whenever they
Shere
just
Khan.
flat out have Mowgli on screen with the tiger, and you can obviously tell they just had the tiger on screen at one point, and then Mowgli on screen, and they just put them together.
So it was like teenage animals.
Luckily, there's no Joe Exotic in any of these. But...
No, but that would make it fun. So
because Shere Khan could eat him.
That's what we need, a spin-off. So somebody who's better at YouTube and all that than us, make like a spin-off of Joe Exotic in the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Give us credit for it. But yes, Joe Exotic means Shere Khan.
So, okay, as an update, it kind of follows all the same things. Some parts are almost as good, and some parts aren't as good as the original 67.
Okay, as the animated one.
But it's
still
the story you like.
Let's talk about the casting a little bit with the main animals. So Ben Kingsley is Bagheera.
Good choice.
He's a good choice. He's prim. He's not kind of neurotic as the one in 67, which I like about that Bagheera, because he's just like freaked out all the time.
Yeah.
But he's kind of sarcastic. Scarlett Johansson is just kind of...
No one has a good Kaa.
No one does a good Kaa except Sterling Holloway. Yeah. I'm sorry, this is not personal against Scarlett Johansson. She did what she could with the writing. It was not good. It was boring.
I mean, she kind of sounded bored.
She was just like, I'm Kaa, I'm a snake.
Because we have another female Kaa we can compare to.
We'll compare
and that one is definitely better than Scarlett Johansson.
Better, but not...
Not good.
Not good. I want my goofy-ass Winnie the Pooh Kaa. So anyway, Bagheera's pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong with Ben Kingsley. And Baloo is Bill Murray, which you think would be a good choice because, I mean, he's voiced Garfield, so a big, fat, selfish animal. Yeah, but...
It should have been kind of like John Goodman.
It should have been John Goodman because this bothered me about it. He's a dick, which he's Bill Murray.
Asshole.
But this Baloo is a dick. In kind of like that funny Bill Murray way where he's like fucking... Like, He's fucking with
He
you.
would be fine if he was
But it gets
Bill
to the
Murray
point where,
Bear.
but it gets to the point where he's kind of laughing at you and not laughing with you, and he cares about Mowgli to an extent, but it's more just like, oh, you're here and you're entertaining.
I don't really believe it.
I don't believe it. In the 1967 one, you can see the anguish in animated Baloo when he thinks Mowgli is in danger, and that's what I really
he was
like about.
really adopting
very
him.
protective, very father-like. And in this one, he's just like, stick around, kid. Go climb up that tree and get me some honey.
The first 20 minutes at least where they know each other, he's tricking him into doing
he
stuff
tricks him
for
into doing
like,
stuff for him, and he's just
a dick.
He's just a dick, and he's lazy, but not. I mean, the other Baloo was lazy too, but he kind of had a game going. So
that's
it should have been John Goodman.
The wolves are decent. Giancarlo Esposito is Aquila, which
yes, Gus Fring.
I just don't think he was used that well.
No, we were talking about this last night. He's best when he's using that very clipped speech, and he's kind of smiling, but you also know he's going to fucking kill you at the end of said speech. And you better do what he says, or he will kill you even slower.
I just don't think he's used well.
He's not, he's like, you've got Gus Fring. Come on.
And then we have the worst part of the movie. Sorry to say this, but Idris Elba was awful.
Sorry, Idris Elba.
Probably not his fault. He's just a terrible pick. And it's he has no charm. He sounds bored.
It's this strange odor today. Man cub.
He's just grumpy and bored. He's like, I see you have a man cub.
We said in the original he's bored and he's like entertaining himself and he's like
animated,
having fun with it.
Animated Shere Khan was bored in a way like when Jafar gets bored, but he's still very amusing and
he's kind of laughing to himself all the time.
Yeah.
But this one, he literally just
he's just cranky.
We'll make a deeper comparison, but Benedict Cumberbatch voices him, and the other one we'll talk about. Oh my god,
we'll get to that.
And he puts so much effort into sounding like a tiger. Mm-hmm. Not like weird, like he changes, but there are just certain syllables where he'll growl. Mm-hmm. Man cub. And he's awesome.
The man comes. Man cub. The man comes. Man cub. The man comes. Man cub.
Yes.
And in this, when Idris Elba says man cub, he just raises his voice a little bit.
It's a man cub.
And they put a growl behind it. And it's weird. It's not... It's like two different sounds happening at the same time.
Yeah, it didn't
he doesn't
work.
look that... I mean, it's a tiger, so it's intimidating because it's a tiger, but it doesn't look...
Yeah, because at first he's like, look what these humans did to me, and I kind of have to look like, I wouldn't notice if you didn't point it out.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But he doesn't stand out as a character.
No, he's just a tiger, and I'm sorry, I haven't really seen Idris Elba in a lot of things, so I'm trying not to judge him as a person, but he just seems grumpy and bored, like the way he was grumpy and bored in Hobbs and Shaw, and he was grumpy and bored and whiny in The Dark Tower. So I haven't seen Idris Elba maybe at his best.
Yeah.
So, not a good choice.
Oh, King Louie's the shit, though.
Oh my, yes. King Louie is giant and voiced by Christopher Walken.
Doing his most New York.
Yeah, he's like, where you from, kid?
Oh, the South Side, eh?
They got good cannoli over there.
What the fuck? The South Side.
Yeah. He's terrifying. I don't know why they chose to do a massive 6-story high orangutan as King Louie. But whatever, it works.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not even sure King Louie is a character in the... Maybe he was in the second book or something, but I don't remember him. I just remember when I was listening to it, the Bandar log, which is the monkey people. But I don't remember a King Louie.
Yeah, so okay, and we forgot to mention that King Louie was voiced by Louie Prima in 1967, and when I was really into swing music around 1998, 1999, I really loved Louie Prima. I liked listening to him. And I remember my grandfather being like, why are you so into Louie Prima? This is...
Yeah, he's good in that one, too. But anyway, so, okay, that's all the things. The climax is pretty good with the fire and whatnot.
Yeah, how Shere Khan meets his doom in this one is pretty good.
That's a pretty Disney death. Disney has
there's
some aggressive
fire
deaths.
And there's falling, so, it's a Disney death.
Frollo, yeah. So, that's good.
Yeah.
So now we have...
Is it worth watching? Yes. So far, they're all worth watching.
I do not regret seeing it. I think it's one of the better live action Disney ones.
Yeah, most of the live action ones are atrocious.
Which
but
is funny because Jon Favreau also directed like the worst one, which is Lion King.
Is it the worst one, or is it Dumbo?
Or Cinderella.
Oh my god. We need to do some hate watch episodes on those.
So moving on. The best one.
I can't
care.
wait to talk about
we'll
this one.
like do our list of other things, but the best one is Mowgli. The
Legend of the Jungle.
Legend of the Jungle.
Yes.
That's a bad name, by the way.
It's just been called Mowgli.
Andy Serkis, I don't know if you picked this name. It should have just been Mowgli. That's perfect.
That's perfect.
Legend of the Jungle sounds like a weird, like, animated, like, made-for-TV movie that would have been shown on UPN in the 90s.
Like straight-to-DVD type of movie.
Like, the thing that your grandmother bought you because she thought it was the Disney one. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's sad.
So the name's not great, but everything else is awesome. Okay, it's on Netflix. It is a Netflix film, directed by Andy Serkis, and Rohan Chand is Mowgli.
Yeah.
He's the best Mowgli. Easily.
Yeah, so I'll give him a little bit of a bio, too. He and Sabu were the best Mowglis. So this is very interesting. Rohan Chand was born in New York City on January 25th, 2004. So nearly 80 years to the day that Sabu was born. And his parents are of Indian descent, but he was born in New York City. He had about 5 acting credits before he did Mowgli movie. He was 14 at the time of either filming or the release in 2018. And in my notes, I just have, give this young man acting work. So let's just talk about Rohan's work. For another kid working with CGI mostly, he's so wonderful. And this kid is like feral Mowgli. You believe this kid was raised by wolves. He's the only one,
I believe, like, grew up in the jungle.
Yeah, he'll fuck shit up.
Even Jason Scott Lee, I didn't believe it, really, because he went straight from baby to adult.
He was like a Disney princess, Mowgli.
Yeah, but, yeah, fuck. This kid is awesome.
This kid is a badass.
We'll get around to our favorite moments, I guess, unless you want to just go with it.
Well, what else do you want to say about the movie first? So maybe a little bit about the story.
Yeah, okay, so this one is kind of somewhere in between the two. And I think it's the only one that does that. So we get the story you're used to, the Jungle Book, like the animated one. And
Raised by wolves, Shere Khan has it out for him. Yeah,
that's all the same. It's actually closer to the book than the Disney version.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it has the side character, Tabaki, who's Shere Khan's little toady. He looks like a crackhead, and he is.
He's a hyena, so.
And the Shere Khan infiltrating the wolves, like, in the story, he actually convinces the younger wolves as they're getting older to, like, rebel and follow him and shit like that
kind
to
of
get rid of Mowgli. So that's more accurate. We get parts where Mowgli does get to the village, and he does learn to be human, and he then gets treated the way he gets treated in the animated one. It doesn't even show you the full story that's from just the first book. The first book does have him in the village and how he's mistreated, and it doesn't have everything. Like, in the book, he wanted to fight the god that one of the
summon your god.
Yeah, he was like, that god, is he strong?
Well,
man, bring him here. I want to fight him.
He's not mistreated by everybody in the village, but they do capture him and put him in a cage, and he acts like a feral dog. Yeah, but some people show him some kindness, and they take him in.
Okay, he's not mistreated by the whole village in this one. He's not even mistreated in general. It's more that shit's going down in his old life, and then he finds out how people really are, and he doesn't like how people are.
Yeah, we don't want to
because.
Yeah, just anyway, watch it. You'll see.
So the hunter is a good character and everything. He's kind of
that's the imperialist white person who's in this movie.
Yeah.
He's been brought in to hunt the tiger.
I'm not calling him
killing people.
an addition, but he's a villain that exists in this one.
He's an interesting villain. Yeah, there's Shere Khan, and then there's also this person who's a villain in a different way. He's been brought in to kill the villain, but he's also. There's some pretty dark stuff about him. So do we want to talk about the casting with this one, with the animals?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so first...
Great casting.
Before we do that, the style, you got to get used to it. And it's worth it. When we first watched it, we were like, what the fuck? And then about 5 minutes later, like, oh, shit. And then 5 minutes after that, like, this is cool. Like, so the big Disney thing with the CG Lion King and Jungle Book not quite as much, but pretty close, is how realistic everything is. These don't look like realistic animals. Like, their bodies are pretty realistic, I guess. But they have much more facial expression, because about this much of the person's actual face is sort of imposed.
So their eyes, like, it looks like,
Yeah.
okay, Christian Bale is Bagheera, and you can kind of see, if you start thinking about
Yeah.
it, if you watch the expression of his face, you can almost see Christian Bale's
Like,
expressions underneath.
It's not
the
enough
panther.
that it looks like a guy wearing a mask or anything, but you can see the actor.
The eyes look very human.
Which I think is just enough, because the biggest problem with Lion King is that they look really, really real, and no one has any emotion. And in this, everybody's got plenty of emotion.
Plenty of expression, plenty of emotion, which is weird on animals, but you get used to it pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
Christian Bale is Bagheera. He's not the prissy neurotic, but he's good. He's gentle. He calls him little brother, which he does in the book.
Which is from the book, and he's the only one that has that you really believe it. Like, he's very older brotherly.
You can tell he really cares about Mowgli.
Aquila is awesome. I can't remember
He's
his
a
name.
Scottish actor.
Off the top of my head, my bad. It's right there on Netflix. Watch it. But he's awesome. He's sort of refined, and also you hear him talk, and you're like, this dude would fuck you up in a bar.
Oh yeah, he's got that like Braveheart Scottish guy in him,
Yeah.
so he'll mess stuff up.
Andy Serkis directed it, and he also plays Baloo. And okay, what I just said goes double for Baloo. Baloo is the guy you want to go to the bar with, and you don't want to meet him at the bar.
Yeah, because this is whereas Bill Murray's interpretation of Baloo didn't quite work. Andy Serkis does a very different take on Baloo, and it works. So
Yeah.
when you talk about his version of Baloo,
So this Baloo is, I'm going to keep saying this, sorry, is the book version, which is the teacher. Now, he was the teacher in, like, the anime at 67, but it was kind of a joke. Mm-hmm. Like, he taught him things, but it wasn't like...
it was more like how to game the system.
It wasn't rules
Yeah.
and laws of the jungle. It was like, hey, you can sort of find berries and stuff if you, whatever. If you want to be fat,
No, this
do these
Baloo
things.
was like a military.
Yeah,
drill
this guy,
sergeant.
he does what Baloo in the story is supposed to do, which is train the wolves in the laws of the jungle and the languages of the jungle and what you do and don't do and how you hunt and stuff, which is kind of a weird story piece, but it's in the original story and it works.
Yeah, and it works. So, I mean, he really leans into this interpretation of the character. So it works because he is tough.
Oh, he looks like...
He looks scary.
Scarred from... Like, he
He's
would
been in
have
1,000
cauliflower
scraps.
ears from all the
Yeah.
fights
Yeah.
in real life.
And it works with this one because he's tough and Mowgli's tough, and it's very much like the jungle's a hard place to live.
Yeah, he's he's a hard-ass instructor, but you can tell he likes his students.
He cares about Mowgli. Okay, so let's talk about Shere Khan.
Shere Khan is the shit.
Oh my god, he's awesome.
This is a real hard choice for me between this Shere Khan and the 67 one. They're very different, but they're awesome.
In different ways.
Okay, so we said the style was different about the faces. Shere Khan from this one doesn't look like a real tiger, but he'll scare the fuck out of you.
Yeah, I think I said this the other day when we were watching it again, was he looks like a Chinese dragon that you see in kind of street parades and stuff, where it's a big square head and a big long body. And that's what he looks like. He has a big square, oversized head.
But it works.
It works.
And he's
crazy eyes.
The
big
eyes
teeth.
are...
It tasted its mother's blood.
When he first comes out, he scares the shit out of you. Like, if I had to fight a tiger, I would rather see a regular tiger. My comparison was if I walked into a jungle and I either walked on Pennywise from It or this tiger, I would be more scared of the tiger.
Yeah, because you could talk your way out of things with Pennywise.
And
With Shere
Benedict
Khan,
Cumberbatch is so cool.
And
in
I
it.
just realized he played Khan in the Star Trek movie. So.
He's got that voice, man.
Oh, that voice, yes. He's terrifying.
And he works with the tigerness. Man cub.
The man comes.
He growls in his speech, and it doesn't sound silly. It should.
Yeah, is. Oh, he's got enough crazy in him that you don't know what he's gonna do.
So everyone is more badass in this. Like
Everybody,
everyone fights. Everyone.
Yeah.
Except for Kaw.
Okay, let's talk about Kaw.
So Kaw is again. It doesn't really matter, but I don't know why they changed it to female. I guess because this is a very male cast. Like, his mother is a good character, but that's the only character that's female, really. So maybe that's why.
Frida Pinto is in the village, and she's kind of his mother figure, but she doesn't really have a lot of screen time.
The only problem that I had, well, it's not the only problem, but the biggest problem is that she is like a prophetic being.
Yeah.
She gives a prophecy about Mowgli, and I don't need that shit.
Kaw is voiced by Cate Blanchett, who has, can sound very imposing and regal.
She tried a lot harder than Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson was barely whispering, like, we get it, you're a snake, but...
Like, Cate Blanchett did the snake thing, like, it...
And she was scary, too.
A little over the top, but it was good.
Yeah, it was...
it was just bad writing, like,
Bad writing for Kaw. Overall, great writing, but bad writing for Kaw.
So Kaw, in the animated one from 1967, they did more with, like they added to his character, and they made him sort of just entertaining and chill and funny, and in the story, he's definitely a presence in the jungle, but at some point they just kind of trick him to fight the monkeys to save Mowgli. They run up on like, hey, those monkeys been talking shit. They said that you're an earthworm. You're the earthworm Kaw. And then Kaw's like, bitch!
The fuck I am!
And rolls up in there with...
AJ just did a snake move. It was very funny. You have to watch the video.
It looked more like a snail. But anyway, so he just whips their asses, and then they get out, and it's, but in this one and the previous live action when we were just 16, Disney, I don't know why, but they made them like this weird ethereal snake being thing. Like, it's...
It was like an afterthought. It wasn't... Yeah. They could have not had Kaw at all.
Because they didn't... I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And the monkeys specifically did this for Shere Khan, which... okay, I'm cool with that.
There's no King Louie. They just take him to a temple that must be covered in shit. It's creepy and gross.
I think King Louie might be... Again, I should know, but he's in every Disney version, but he's not in the other two versions. So maybe he's a Disney creation.
Maybe, or I was reading something. I think he might be in one of the... There were lots of stories and poems.
Yeah, there's more stories of Mowgli, but anyway. So, those are... I think all the characters... Oh, Hathi is not so much a thing in this.
Who's Hathi?
Hathi is... Okay, so in most of these... Hathi is just what they call elephants, but Hathi, the character, is... He's definitely a character in the animated one, but I don't remember him from the live action.
That's
Disney
where you get the white British imperialists. In the 1967 one is the platoon of elephants, and they're very funny.
So he's not so much a thing, but the elephants are sort of revered in this, and they're more of a presence,
almost a godlike presence. And there is a moment. I won't spoil it. There's
awesome
a moment between Mowgli and an elephant, and it's the most badass gangster thing ever.
Like, this kid could run this kid could run a mafia. Like,
yeah,
he's so good. So
it's the most gangster shit. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh,
if
wow.
I had to recommend one, I'm recommending this one.
Yeah, I don't like proselytizing, like, especially with your religion. Keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear about it. But I'm going to proselytize and say, you need to watch this movie.
Yes.
Maybe not for really young kids, because it is kind of violent and scary. But, it's pretty good. It's good for all ages. It's entertaining. It feels like, we're two adults, and we love the movie. So it didn't feel dumbed down or Disney-fied or childish or anything like that.
We've been waiting to watch it again, in fact. And then we just watched it this weekend.
We watched it. Did we watch it last year during lockdown or something?
Yeah.
He'd been talking about it for a while.
I had sort of heard of it, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe it didn't... Like, the cover art makes it not look good. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, I kept putting it off.
It looked like it was going to be an obviously 3D animated thing, not like... This is somewhere between animated and like hyper realistic. Like it's somewhere in between, and it's just right. I prefer this style to the Disney one. But yeah, so 67, I assume that most people have seen it or they know about it. It's the Disney Jungle Book, so no need to recommend that. I watched the 42 one. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, if I had to tell somebody you need to watch a Jungle Book movie, I'm saying this one.
Oh yeah,
it's closer
most
to the
definitely.
book. It's the best. Well, maybe I won't say it's the best one, but it's my favorite.
It's my favorite too, and the acting is just stellar, especially the kid who plays Mowgli. He's so good.
Yeah. So that's all 5. That there are more. But
Lots more. I want to see the Soviet Union cartoons.
But this is all 5 that were given enough production that it was worth watching. So we were going to go through and pick like our best certain things of the grouping.
Okay.
Or maybe we can kind of rank each one. So this is just kind of a random list I made up. So first I wanted to go through the best story. Which I'm thinking Mowgli technically has the best, like, the most impactful story.
Mm-hmm. This will be kind of a wild card, but I don't know if this is the best, but the Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book, the 1993 one with Jason Scott Lee, stood out to me because it was different, because it focused on his relationship with the British people and kind of their... Yeah. Watching those humans be evil. It was a different take than the typical thing with the animals and the villagers. So it was just different.
If you've been around the story enough and you just want a different version,
it's something different. Yeah.
So for me, Mowgli is number 1, and then I'm putting 67, animated one, as my favorite story after that. Mm-hmm. Then probably 42. Mm-hmm. Because that 42 and 93 have basically the same story with a little bit of extra stuff in 93. It has the City of Gold. And
I'm torn because I like the story of Child Mowgli because you meet Bagheera and Baloo and all the animals have such personality, but I also like seeing things with Mowgli as an older young man or adult because you just don't hear it as often. You don't get to see those stories out. And I have not read the books, which I need to do. But we always hear about Mowgli as a kid. So it's kind of nice to see, well, what did Mowgli do when he got a little older? Did he stay in the man village? Did he leave? Did he come back? And those two movies are kind of different interpretations of the same story.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are, if I'm putting those as my 1, 2, 3 as for story.
Okay, I should probably rank that too. So for story, I'm going to go with 42 for number 1 because I like his interaction with the villagers. I love the thing about the tooth. And I actually like that story the best. So I'm going to put that as my number 1. Probably Mowgli is number 2, but that really gets me more is the acting and everything.
That one does have a little more of the, like the rules of survival in the jungle.
Yeah,
too,
and then I'm torn on, the laws of the jungle, and I'm torn on 3. It's kind of a tie between, I think for me it'd be a tie between the animated one and then the 1993 one, just because it was so different. Mm. And then the Disney Jungle Book one doesn't even count, because it's the same story as the animated one.
Yeah. So then we have, Atmosphere. This one I'm going with the animated one.
Oh.
It's so enjoyable.
It's so chill.
Like
that music.
You want to sleep on a branch. Like
just in a bed of leaves on the ground while you listen to the river swish by you.
Yeah, it's...
Just go look up the soundtrack on YouTube. And just listen to that. Just chill right before you go to bed.
Even as threatening as Shere Khan is, even he, for a villain, is pretty
he's
chill.
I just happen to be in the neighborhood. Oh, there's a man cub.
I'll take my time murdering this child.
There's the Prince John laugh. So, he just kind of wanders in like, well, I was just having a glass of wine at the wine bar down in the other jungle, and I'll kill you tomorrow, Mowgli.
So that's my number 1. Mowgli is probably number 2 because you get like the actual danger of the jungle more than in any of the other ones. Mm-hmm. Like that one, I feel like you're gonna die. Like you're... And
then I would say for number 3 maybe Disney's live action Jungle Book. because they had the budget for it, and
Yeah.
and the way Shere Khan meets his doom in that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's probably like the most physically accurate.
Yeah,
Like
they had that Disney money, so yeah.
So, best villains, and I said villains because in some of them, Shere Khan's not even really a main villain. It's the hunters or the treasure seekers or whatever. So, best villains.
The British, you know. Ooh, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is the most terrifying Shere Khan.
Yeah,
The Hunter is a good character, though. He's a dick from the beginning, but he's interesting.
And he's also the storyteller, which makes it like really interesting.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
You talking about 42?
No, I'm talking about Mowgli.
The Hunter. Oh, the Hunter. I'm stupid. There's the Hunter from 42 is like a.
Oh, I was just thinking
also
of him
a
as
hunter,
the
but
old man. Okay.
He's also a hunter. but
Okay, I'm
he's-
talking about the White Hunter.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
The
he's-
Great White Hunter. He's good.
He's kind of an add-on, though. So if we're talking about the core characters,
Well, I'm saying just villains in general. So if it's got multiple villains, like technically Ka and King Louie are like mini antagonists.
they're like mini bosses. Yeah.
So you could technically include them, and
King Louie was just unsettling when he freaking jumped rope with his arms.
that's awesome.
That bothers me so much from the animated one. That
So-
grosses me out.
For number one, it's probably annoying because I keep coming back to the same ones, but I think that number one is sort of a tie for me between the 67 animated and Mowgli.
Shere Khan, you mean?
Well,
Or
the
multiple
Shere
villains.
Khans are amazing in different ways, and then you got the Hunter from Mowgli, which is really good, and then the Ka is fun, and I guess he's not really intimidating because he's the foil.
He did want to eat Mowgli.
Yeah,
though.
he did want to eat him. So
And then
he's,
King Louie's pretty bad too. So yeah.
So King Louie is gonna just straight up like, oh, guess I'll hold you hostage till you teach me this stuff.
Yeah,
and,
give me the red flower and that'll bash your head in.
So those are pretty even for me. And then 93 doesn't really have a good villain. Carrie Elways is an asshole, but he's not.
Yeah, again, I think showing the colonialism at the time, I don't know how accurate that was to, the minute details. But again, I kind of like that it went off on instead of him interacting with the Indian village, it's like, look at these white people who were in India at the time, which they shouldn't have been.
So
I
second
thought that
one-
was interesting.
I guess my second one. I guess would be the 42, because I really enjoy the storyteller whenever he's younger, and he's sort of the villain to Mowgli, and he's
He's kind of a dick when he's younger.
Yeah, he's the one that wants to chase Mowgli out, and then he's the one that wants to use Mowgli to find the treasure, and then so he's really enjoyable. Okay, the live action Disney is Shere Khan's not good.
No.
But King Louie is really intimidating.
And it's so weird.
I love
Christopher
it.
Walken is a giant ape that's so weird.
I love it. It's so
like, if you're
strange.
gonna have Christopher Walken for 10 minutes or so, you better use him in a big way.
Yeah, they're like, do your most Walkenness, please.
And even when he's roaring and chasing after Mowgli, he's still, get me the red flower.
Yeah, he just sounds like Trump the whole time.
He sounds like a New Yorker. He sounds like Christopher Walken. It's just like, can you just be Christopher Walken? And don't they have a cowbell in...
Yes, there's a cowbell on the floor when he walks in. It's
Yes! They walk into the temple, which is, I'm sure,
I
filled
think
with...
he shakes it like one time and
yeah.
then he appears.
It's filled with poop because they're monkeys and monkeys are gross.
Always.
I don't like monkeys. I think they're gross and scary. And so, yeah, there's a cowbell. So good for whoever threw that in there.
That's good, but... So yeah, those are... I really just have the first and second picks. The other two...
First and second picks. Wait, let's go back because...
Mowgli and animated at the top. Mm-hmm. And then 42
For the villains.
second place for villains. And then the other ones are this...
The other ones you can kind of mix and match.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing with Shere Khan in the 93 one, but he's not like an actual presence.
He just eats people.
Yeah, he's not really
like
presence.
tigers do.
So,
And for $2,000, you can have one yourself.
it's surprisingly affordable.
I know.
He validates him. That's what I was thinking of. He validates Mowgli. There is a validation moment in the movie. Because
Which
of Shere
movie?
Khan. The 93 one. That's the word I was trying to think of.
So what happens? Even though we watched this yesterday, just refresh my memory.
I wasn't sure if I was going to say it just in case somebody wanted to watch it. But
Oh, okay, never mind.
there's a validation point. Anyway.
Okay.
So the best Mowgli.
Fucking Mowgli.
Fucking Mowgli. Then Sabu.
Then Sabu, because, okay, our dream mashup would be young Rohan Chan as young Mowgli, and then Sabu as grown-up Mowgli.
Yeah, if we could have both stories, that's what I want. Yeah, if we were gonna do like the ultimate crossover.
But overall, okay, the kid who was in Mowgli had to mostly act against a green screen, or I don't know how they did it with the actors, but a lot of it was him kind of on his own, acting against...
So I appreciate what he did. He did good.
He was good.
But he's not... It's not the kid. It's just Mowgli in that movie is not super memorable. And he's really not in the animated one. Like, he's the driving force of the film, but... You like that movie for all the people around him.
Let's make sure we're both talking about the same ones.
The Disney ones, the two
Disney
Disney
ones. Yeah. The kid who played Mowgli was fine, but yeah, he's not memorable at all. So we're talking about both the animated and the live action Disney. You're there for the animals.
Jason Scott Lee is interesting Mowgli.
He's okay.
He does a good job. It's just kind of weird that he's Mowgli.
Yeah, okay. I think the way I would rank it would be Rohan Chan from Mowgli Legend of the Jungle is number 1. Number 2, Sabu. Number 3, maybe Jason Scott Lee.
Yeah.
And then...
and then both of the Disney
4
Mowglis,
and 5, both the Disney ones, they're just kids.
They're pretty similar. Which was on purpose. It's a remake, so they're going to make him...
He's just Mowgli.
Lost my glasses. Okay, so then we have Baloo and Bagheera get their own category. Because it's Baloo and Bagheera.
Best Baloo and best Bagheera.
Now we can kind of mix and match, or we can use them as a set.
I like the animated ones. They have good chemistry. They're funny. They scrap when they need to.
Oh my leg. Sorry, I'm trying to get my glasses.
It was much more of a brotherhood type of thing with Mowgli.
Yeah.
But I think the animated 1967 ones are my favorite.
They do have a really funny moment in Mowgli between those two, though. Like, they don't come off the same, like, old married couple, like, bitching and moaning at each other. But they do have some funny moments together.
They have good chemistry. And they're much more serious, but they both care about Mowgli a lot.
Yeah.
They argue like brothers. They stick up for each other like brothers.
And they're way more badass as creatures, like, than any of the other ones.
You believe that's a panther and a bear.
Yeah, those two will fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Shere Khan could take on Baloo.
No.
Like, maybe, but...
Andy Serkis Baloo?
Like,
hell no.
I think I might have mentioned it or might not have. Mowgli is the only one where Shere Khan correctly only has, like, one good front paw. Like, one of his paws is messed up. He's lame. Like, he's named the lame tiger. And which is why I kind of like that, because it makes more sense that he's sort of controlling things in the story more than just going in and I'm gonna kill everything. Like if he was a full on tiger with both claws, I feel like he would just run in and kill everything.
No, but he had to fight to survive, so he probably
he's still intimidating,
didn't have an easy life.
But it's just not the same when you have to walk on one paw, like on the knuckles.
No, so he finds other ways to be scary and intimidating.
But anyway, we're talking about Baloo and Bagheera.
Talking about Baloo and Bagheera, but we just keep getting overshadowed by Benedict Cumberbatch, Shere Khan.
Cool. My favorites, like, they're so different and they're for very different purposes. But if I had to pick, I guess I'm sticking with the animated.
Yeah, I like them the
number
best.
1, and then number 2 is Mowgli. Mowgli can't have all the number 1 spots.
Yeah, and I don't really remember much of Ben Kingsley and Bill Murray's interaction in the live action Disney. They kind of bitch at each other.
They're still,
they're friends.
Baloo and Bagheera. Like, they technically fill the roles, but they're not gonna stand out. Like, Ben Kingsley is awesome, but he's just not the best one.
I don't get excited to see them on screen the way I do in the animated one and in Mowgli.
Yeah, and sadly in the 42 and 93, they're not.
It's just stock footage of animals.
Yeah, they're there, but they're not characters. So, yeah, so those are or Blue and Bagheera, and the last one is Ensemble, like everyone else.
Best ensemble cast. Ooh.
So, like every single person in the animated one, you remember, like every character.
But are they good ensemble or are they fun individually?
I mean, it's sort of a story where you're going to meet these people one by one, though.
And that's what it feels like. For me, I think the best ensemble is Mowgli. But then individually, it's fun because it's here's Cranky Bagheera, and
Mowgli is more of like they almost are a part of the atmosphere. Like they're a part of the jungle. There's the crackhead Tabaki who follows Shere Khan around because he's a bigger animal that can get him things that he needs, like the spare food he doesn't want, and the monkey people and the other wolves are a bigger part. Like the other wolves aren't really characters in the other stories. So there's that. There's the villagers, which aren't a huge thing, but there's still a presence in Mowgli. So I could see Mowgli being the very first.
I was just really thinking of the animals because the villagers don't really do much.
Like, yeah, they don't have they don't have the part of the story where a woman sort of adopts him.
I mean, they do a little bit. That was Frida Pinto's character.
Well, like, in the village?
Yeah, remember the woman who bathes him and
she barely has
him
a
She's
moment
not in
with
there
him, so.
much.
Anyway,
yeah.
So, okay, so yeah, number 1 would probably be Mowgli. Number 2, I'm the animated one again.
They're the most fun.
Number 3, I think I want to say the 42.
I'm going to go with the 1993 one.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That one's growing on me more and more.
I mean, with John Cleese and Sam Neill and Carrie Elwes and that the random Scottish guard and
Maybe
the daughter and...
I was one of those dorky kids who loved Monty Python when I was 12, which made me super popular. So, I see John Cleese in something, I'm happy.
Yeah, so, okay. We'll differ on that, but I could appreciate it.
We can have our differences of opinion on that.
Yeah. So, that's all the different categories I want
And
to
the
go
Jungle
through.
Book, the Disney live-action remake doesn't even get a credit on the ensemble cast.
No.
It just wasn't memorable.
It's a remake. It's not as good as the original, so...
It's not.
It's fine. It's good. It's the Jungle Book. The Jungle Book's always good, but it's not memorable. Like, I'll remember the 93 one more than that one. Even though I think technically it's better than the 93 one.
I do, yeah. Just the 93 one is a different story. So that catches my attention.
So just flat out, a whole movie. I can't really order the animated one and Mowgli. I technically can't pick one.
I know. I was just thinking I'm having a hard time deciding between the... I thought I was going to, do a surprise and say, oh, I like the animated one. But, if I could only watch one for the rest of my life...
That's what I think is good about the Jungle Book. It's got such an interesting concept to start with. You can go in so many different directions.
I think that's why there have been so many versions of it.
Super different in each one, and they're all good. So that's like we were having fun trying to mix and match, and then I realized you can't mix and match.
Yeah, which Shere Khan from this movie with this Mowgli
because they belong in the animated Bagheera and Baloo. They belong in that movie because it's the calm, chill,
funny,
fucking weed smoking adventure basically that it is without having any of that. And then
I think Baloo would say otherwise.
Mowgli is so real and visceral, it's just
and vicious,
and it's it impresses upon you how kind of really fucked up this kid's life is.
You kind of see the consequences of what happens,
but it's still sort of majestic and whatnot. But
oh yeah.
So yeah, which I think is why we like Jungle Book so much. So I don't have a favorite. I guess.
If I could only watch one for the rest of my life, I'm picking the animated one. If only for that super chill soundtrack. However,
if I could only recommend one,
that's about what I was about to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would it be?
Mowgli.
Yeah. 100%
Watch
Mowgli.
motherfucking Mowgli.
Watch Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. It's so good. Hopefully the devices aren't listening and
Watch it,
Netflix
or
is
he
like,
will-
hey, we're going to take it off.
Watch it or Mowgli will kill you. Because he totally could.
Yeah, or
Well, he's nice. He wouldn't do that.
he might get one of his friends to come do something to you, which he does in this one. Oh, it's so good.
Watch it just so you know what she's like referring to, because it's so memorable.
It's so gangster.
So, okay, this is our first installment of appreciation movies and such. For
Yeah, I mean, hey, our
month.
podcast is called Movie Pain or Pleasure, and these are definitely pleasures. Not necessarily guilty pleasures, because they're all pretty good.
No, they're just good.
They're just good. They are fun. You could, kids, adults can enjoy them. I could watch most of these movies over and over again.
We'll probably end up watching a different version at some point. We'll watch another version we haven't seen before.
But
whenever we find one, we might.
Mowgli is just a good standalone movie as far as movies go, because we love to watch movies. I mean, we started a podcast about it, but I remember watching it, and it was kind of like right in the middle of 2020 lockdown. I'm just like, this is just a freaking good movie.
Every 10 minutes, we're like, holy
Holy
shit.
crap, this is so good.
Holy shit. Every 10 minutes, it just, again, we're like, oh my god, why haven't we watched this yet?
Yeah.
And I only watched it because Chris Stuckman mentioned that Andy Serkis was. I was like, oh, maybe this is that. So we looked into it and it was like, it's a
okay.
amazing.
Same question for you too, though. If you could only watch one for the rest of your life,
I guess I'll keep it the same too, because
you watch the animated one.
Yeah, because Mowgli is amazing, but the animated one gives you that feeling that you don't get anywhere else.
And every single character is enjoyable and fun and
I would Mowgli is so impactful. I can probably remember everything I need to remember about it, even though I will witness it again, I'm sure. But I can remember everything that's amazing about it. I would still want to feel the animated's just chillness.
super chill.
So, okay. So for the rest of the month, we have a couple more of these. We're going to do a couple of franchises. One, the best franchise that's ever existed as far as a long-running series of movies. 8 films, the Rocky franchise. Even the 5th one.
If only for the last 5 minutes.
The best fight in the whole series is in the 5th movie. And I don't care if you disagree, shut up.
And it's not even a boxing match.
No, it's not. It's a street fight.
We'll talk about that when we do that one.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about that. We're planning on talking about the Fast and Furious franchise, which...
Total guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's... If NASCAR on cocaine happened to meet a soap opera and they had a baby...
Because it's all about family.
Yeah. So, we'll get around to those, and we will have one just movies we appreciate that we have witnessed or introduced each other to or whatever. So those are our 3 other things to look forward to after this is up.
So this is our what are we grateful for this month. So share in the comments or on our Instagram which is your favorite Jungle Book movie. So if you want to find us and comment and tell us about it, you can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes. You can watch us on YouTube and then interact with us on our Instagram at Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast or with me at Melanie Gibson Author on Instagram.
This is based on a book, and she wrote a book, so buy her book.
The author thing?
I'm going to do the worst plugs of your book every time
if you're going to do that, then will you grab the copy over there, please?
What?
It's right there. Yeah. Okay, he's making me do this. We're talking about the Jungle Book, but since it's a book and I wrote this book called Kicking and Screaming, a memoir of madness and martial arts, and it's the story of how I overcame some really bad mental illness stuff with Taekwondo, and AJ is in it. Sorry, I gave you a pseudonym, but the jig is up. You're in the book.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, so you can buy my book on Amazon or wherever, so you can find that on my Instagram page.
Yeah, so do it. Be our cult.
Be my victim. Bye.
Bye.